Welcome to Getaway and greetings from the City of Statistics. This is the fourth largest city in North America. This is the safest metropolis in North America. This is the city with the third highest percentage of immigrants anywhere in the world. It's a massive multicultural mosaic, a big-time city flexing its big-time biceps of iron and steel. It's not particularly beautiful, but it's intriguing, it's eclectic, it's cool. This is the birthplace of that fine, trembling troubadour Neil Young, for goodness sake. The people here are unfailingly polite and the Queen is on the coin. Welcome to Toronto, first stop on our Eastern Explorer tour with Scenic. Our 9-day tour begins here, where we'll acclimatise to the Eastern Canadian way and prepare for an intimate encounter with the power of Niagara Falls. We'll then head north to the nation's bilingual capital, Ottawa. A personal rendezvous in Montebello with some of the quirky wildlife Canada is renowned for follows, before immersing ourselves in the World Heritage Site of magnificent Quebec City and the chic French je ne sais quoi of Montreal. First, the city the locals call T-Dot, Toronto. Local guide and Scenic's man on the ground, Chris Godfrey, doesn't need much encouragement to further out Toronto's statistical charms, be they truthful or not. I read about this street. It claims to be the world's longest street.
This is the world's longest street.
I'm dubious about that claim.
1,900 kilometers from the shores of Lake Ontario all the way out to Thunder Bay.
Seriously?
Serious. Well, okay, so the road jogs a little bit. It changes names once or twice. Yeah. Guinness actually took the record name away from us in 1999, but we're hanging on to it here in Toronto.
Of course you are. But what about the square here? I mean, it's very busy.
You know, New York has Times Square, Toronto has Dundas Square. This is our place where we come protest, we can cheer, we can celebrate local food, local art, local culture. This is the place where Torontonians come to party, come to hang out, come to really have a good time.
You'd think, wouldn't you, given Canada's a proud, loyal bastion of the Commonwealth, that this, the only castle on the North American continent, would somehow be English. But no, in keeping with its multicultural, quirky essence, Toronto's castle is Spanish. Sort of. I just don't understand why there's a Spanish castle in Toronto.
Well, you're obviously referring to the name, Casa Loma.
Got to be Spanish?
Yes, Casa means house and Loma means hill. Because when I walk you over here to our magnificent vantage point, you'll see that we are perfectly situated on top of a natural hill in the city of Toronto. So when Sir Henry Pellet built this house for him and his wife, he wanted to pick the most magnificent spot.
Isn't it fantastic that these great trees that have grown up here managed to stay out of the view?
Well, you know, Sir Henry Pellet had an incredible amount of power, and I think the trees just grew the way he willed them.
In 1911, construction began on Casa Loma, his 98-room mansion dedicated to, well, himself, his massive wealth, and his ability to light up a room. That really must have been something back in 1912.
Oh my gosh, it's something today. Yeah. But back in 1912, that was an epic piece of stained glass to put together. What a lot of people don't realize is when he put this in, he installed 500 light bulbs. Oh. Keep in mind, this is the early 1900s, the beginning of electricity. He put those in behind the stained glass so the room would always appear to be bright.
So he had not one but two castles.
Well, this isn't actually a castle.
Yes, it is.
No. This is where he kept his cars and his horses. This is where they lived.
He had cars too?
In fact, believe it or not, he had the first electric car in the city of Toronto.
This is back when?
This is late 1800s.
He's 120 years ahead of his time.
Exactly.
From Casa Loma's Spanish-inspired steeples to the prominent spikes of Toronto's skyline, there's one tower that dominates. Well, ain't that a kooky skewer pinning Toronto to the planet? I guess it's about as cool as concrete gets, though. But given it's predicted that by 2020, Toronto will have more high-rise condos than anywhere else on the planet, this prong gone wrong must surely be struggling to justify its existence. given it's taking up a slice of real estate that must be worth an ocean of diamonds. The CN Tower exists primarily as a telecommunications hub, but surely there's got to be something else going on. 350 metres above the comforting earth of Toronto is the CN Tower's glass floor. Although only 6 centimetres thick, its weight has been road tested by all manner of, no doubt, curious beasts. It's unbelievable when you think that they've actually bought 3.5 orca up here, 35 moose, even 3,493 raton laveur, which to you and me are raccoons. So providing I'm not as heavy as any of those, this should be okay. But it's the first step that's always the hardest. Oh, hey. Did I say the first step was the hardest? Scenic has found one even more challenging to include.
So you're all currently standing 356 meters above the ground.
At 116 stories above ground, another statistic awaits the fearless and foolhardy Edgewalk, the world's highest full-circle, hands-free walk around the tower's ledge.
That's it, David. All the way to your full body weight is in your shoulder. Yeah! Can you get up on your toes? On your toes.
There's no end to the oddball nature of this city, as we'll discover after the break. Oh, there's something very satisfying about doing that. If one chooses to explore, one should be prepared to discover. On Scenic's Eastern Explorer tour, I've discovered a city with a very intriguing buzz. Scratch beneath the surface just a little, and Toronto reveals herself to be not quite what I'd normally expect in Canada. The Canadian philosopher and intellect Marshall McLuhan said a huge advantage of Canada is its backwardness. The national animal is a beaver, a dim-witted rodent known to bite off its own testicles and stand beneath a falling tree. The Canadians themselves may appear to be charming and polite, but just beneath the surface lurks a lumberjack. Meet Ian. Safely tucked away in a warehouse on Toronto's outskirts is the headquarters of the Backyard Axe Throwing League. This is where the inner woodsman is encouraged from his cabin to fling toughened steel at a bullseye. Where on earth would you expect to find a professional axe thrower? Toronto, of course. Ian Christensen is one.
Here's how you throw an axe. Dominant hand on the bottom of the axe, a little bit sticking out the palm. No thumb on the back. Lean in towards the target with your opposite foot on the block. Okay? Axe goes far behind your head between your shoulder blades. You lean in again. Release at eye level. Follow all the way through. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, there's something very satisfying about doing that. Look at that. Bullseye. In 1847, 38,000 Irish men, women and children fled the famine decimating their homeland and arrived here in Toronto. It was quite unbelievable because at the time, Toronto was a city of 20,000 people. In one fell swoop, the Irish almost tripled the population here. It wasn't an immediate fine Irish blend, but eventually the Irish were regarded as invaluable, particularly in the construction of infrastructure and for the flavour that they added to the city. This memorial highlights the fear, the struggle and the apprehension of the Irish people and the contribution they made. Realising that where there were Irish, there'd be a thirst for whiskey, brothers-in-law William Gooderham and James Watts left the UK for Toronto, built a distillery and made a fortune from liquor. I've got to say, it's quite a vast area, really, isn't it?
It's 13 acres of nationally protected heritage property just east of the downtown core. It's actually the largest area of Victorian industrial architecture in the entire world.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Perhaps because of the gentle whiff of whiskey from days of a glorious past hanging on the breeze, Chris seemed somewhat insistent but I try one or two of the flavours found here. I've heard you have legendary status as an ice cream maker in Toronto.
I guess you've heard right.
You're a man of great modesty.
Well, what am I going to say? We tell the truth at Greg's. It's all about the truth.
Right. And is it true, therefore, that you have beer ice cream?
We've got some lager and we've got some stout.
No, beer, right?
That's beer, yeah. Beer. And ice cream. Who knew? Blows my mind.